everybody, and welcome to today's video. We are looking at something that I don't generally talk about much on this channel today, and that is the platformer. I'm not the world's biggest fan of platformers. I do check out the occasional title, and I don't have any particular objection to the genre. It's just not my favorite, and when I've got so many other games to play, if I have a platformer sitting there, it's usually the one that I kind of put onto the back burner. And so I have missed quite a few games that I have gone back to over the years and really found that I've enjoyed, but it is just a genre that doesn't often click with me. However, Nintendo has released a collection of its 3D platformers, starting with Mario 64. There is also Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy in this collection. And I do enjoy the Mario 3D platformers. That is one of the exceptions to the rule. I do check them out pretty much always as soon as they launch. And I was really looking forward to this one when Nintendo announced it out of the blue. As a big fan of all three of these games, I was certainly going to check this out as soon as I got the opportunity to. I have a review up on digitallydownloaded.net which you can check out, and that really goes into the issues that I have with this collection because it's not perfect, and also talks about why I really kind of think that it's still worth buying, even though it does have those issues. What I thought I would do with this video is drill down a little bit more into why I do make the exception to the rule with the Mario platformers, what it is about these games that I think makes them particularly palatable to people who don't generally play platformers, and why these games are kind of timeless. Because when you think about it, Mario 64 is quite the old game now. It was released in 1996 originally, and I still find it as playable today as ever, and that is a rare thing. If you go back to the other kind of primitive 3D games that were being released around the same time, a lot of them are very much unplayable. If you try and play GoldenEye 007, for example, that was a game that I sunk hundreds of hours into back when it was new. I would find that very difficult to play now. In fact, I did pull it out for a go a couple of months ago. We were having a bit of a nostalgia hit with a couple of my friends. We figured we'd get some GoldenEye in, and we played about 3 rounds of it before realizing that it was just not for us anymore. So Mario 64 really holds up. Sunshine is very good as well. Mario Galaxy is of course not that old. So the collection as a whole is very playable, very enjoyable, and like I said, check out my review for my full thoughts on the game itself. What it is I think about, one of the things that I think of firstly when I talk about what it is about the Mario games that I think makes them stand out, it's the level design of them. And one of the interesting things about this collection is that for the first time I've kind of played these games back to back. They were released 5 or 6 years apart from one another, and while I picked them up at launch and played them through and really enjoyed my time with them, I didn't go back to them again since. Mario is just one of those series I only play through once really. And as a result, I've never compared them back to back to see just how similar they are. They are very similar, and it is just something for whatever reason has never really registered with me. But it's the level design that is so similar, and it is a real weapon for all three games. Each game has this little hub world, which is where you choose which level you want to play basically. And the levels are all these little kind of separate hubs of their own in which you have a number of objectives to achieve, and with each objective you get a star. Once you have enough stars, or the equivalent depending on which game you're playing, once you have enough of those little kind of rewards, you unlock the next set of levels. It is something that we have seen in pretty much every other video game since. It's become a standard way of doing progression. But with the Mario games in particular, they do it so well because firstly, it's quite open-ended in terms of the approach that you take with completing these objectives. As somebody who's not particularly good at 3D platformers, I would often find that I would get stuck in them, where I hit a point where I just couldn't progress. I couldn't complete a particular objective, I couldn't get the items that I needed to progress, and I never actually finished a Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64, a lot of the rare games I really struggled to finish because I always hit that wall and I wasn't able to progress. With Mario, because you always have more than enough stars that you can get from each level, that you can unlock the next set of levels. If you get stuck in one particular level and can't get the star, so for example, I'm not very good at swimming levels in platformers, so I would find those more challenging in Mario as well, where I would get stuck. I'd be able to go back and complete some objectives in a different set of levels, get a couple of extra stars, maybe even unlock another set of levels and be able to bypass the one that I was really struggling with for a long time. Eventually I would have to go back and finish it, but by the time I got to that point, my skills have improved with the game. I just become more familiar with it, and I was able to scrape through the harder challenges. That is really good level design, and I do think that wherever possible, developers should try to be more linear about their approaches, in that if you miss an objective, if you can't complete an objective, especially when progress is linked to completing objectives, if you can't do that with one particular objective, it shouldn't hold you back from being able to continue through the game and perhaps finish it. You might not be able to finish it 100%, but you should be able to still make progress. And I think mobile games have actually really latched onto that idea very well. I don't like a lot of mobile games, but their 3-star system is really handy for that, because you get 1 star for completing the level, and that star is usually enough to unlock the next set of levels. So if you go through the entire game, you can do so just getting 1 star each time, but then you can challenge yourself to get the extra 2 stars and go for that 100% completion, which is a good reason to go back if you really enjoy the game. But if you get stuck, you never feel like you are that stuck you need to give up on the game. So that is something that I think is just masterfully done through these Mario games. Another thing is the levels themselves are not that big. So the hub world is not that big, the levels themselves are not that big. And in this day and age, when every video game is aiming to be a massive open world thing that takes 100 hours just to walk across, I actually like that kind of restricted nature, because each of the levels in the Mario games are this playground of constant energy, where there isn't a square centimetre that has been wasted. There's always something that you're coming up to. There's always a reason to explore the little areas. There's always these kinds of nooks and crannies to get yourself into. There's all these little secrets to discover. But you never feel like you're spending ages of time just trying to move through these little worlds. And the fact that they've packed so much energy and excitement and variety into each of those levels means that you make progress quite quickly, and you're never doing the same thing too often. I think repetition really kills a lot of platformers. Mario games never feel repetitive, even though there isn't that much in terms of the controls you can do. They don't have these grand stories which is pulling you along through the experience by giving you character revelations and plot directions and all that kind of stuff. They really rely on a very limited set of commands, but do so, execute them in such a creative and varied way that you just never get a chance to get bored with these games. And as a result, I always find myself spending a lot of time playing Mario games, because I just get into this groove where I'm having such a good time I lose track of time, and before I know it, I've spent more time playing it than I really realized. So that is another real weapon that all 3 of these Mario games really exhibit, and I think is a reason to go back and play them, because, like I said, modern game design has actually lost sight of a lot of what the early 3D Mario games did so well, and I think that it would be to the games industry's benefit to start to rediscover some of this stuff. The idea that everything needs to be open, everything needs to be huge, everything needs to be there needs to be all these distractions, and this sense that you need to complete everything in order to progress. All of these kinds of ideas that developers throw into their games now to try to increase the longevity of the game actually hurt it. And I think the relative simplicity of the Mario games is something that is very noble, something that is very enjoyable today, and something that just feels fresh. It feels weird to say a game from 1996 feels fresh, but I haven't really played Mario 64 since the DS re-release of it, whenever that was, and playing it again now has been refreshing in a year that has been full of a lot of games that have been really dense time wasters. So yeah, check it out for that reason. Check out my review. Do let me know what you think. I'm sure there's plenty of Mario fans out there that will watch this video at some stage. Please do click that like and subscribe button if you enjoy my videos. That way you won't miss any, and I would hate for you to miss a video that you might enjoy. And please do consider backing me on Patreon if you enjoy my work, because even $1 a month actually goes a long way to helping me to grow this channel further. Have great fun playing Mario, everybody. We'll speak to you about it, I'm sure, in the comments, and we will see you again soon.